Welcome back to This Week in Indies. There are so many predators and so many get-rich schemes and schemers out there. And now with AI showing some unethical indignations, we as independent artists have to be even more careful than ever before. We need to make sure that the services advertising to help us are actually doing so. So how do we find these services? How do we separate the real from the fake? How do these choices affect other aspects of our professionalism? Should we hold ourselves to a higher standard in reporting when we find unethical practices? Or should we be better about sharing the practical ones? We will discuss this with the leaders of our industry. Then Seal Cannon will be along with indie books you might enjoy if you're a fan of Divergent from Veronica Roth. We also have a full slate of programming that we're going to tell you about and share in the Go Indie Minute. While finally, JD Estrada gives you your Week 2 prompts for March of the Writers. So sit back and realize that your ticket has been validated for another episode of This Week in Indies with your host, Joe Compton. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Indies. I apologize for the late start. It's all on me. I've been scrambling all morning, so please, hopefully, you get in here and enjoy the rest of the show. And maybe starting late might have helped you all. I don't know. But we're here. We're doing this thing, and I'm real excited about today because I have some incredible human beings who I think are pillars of the community and people that I love so much and love to talk to about this particular aspect of things. And we're going to be vetting our professionalisms and looking at, how do we look at, bettering ourselves with the right professionals and the right things and all of that. And to do that, I have this awesome dais right here with me. I'm super excited about all of them. So to quell my excitement, I'm going to let them speak. So Vanessa, why don't you start us off, please? Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, please.
Hey, y'all. I am Vanessa Junta. I am an author. I write the urban fantasy Soul Cavern series. I am also a freelance editor and have been since 2008. I also am the programming director for Multiverse Convention in Atlanta in October. So I've done a lot of vetting of professionals.
And the writer's track at DragonCon?
Oh, yes. And although I do vet for my track. So yes, I am the director of the writer's track at DragonCon. I do lots of things in lots of places.
All right. And Anita?
Hi, I'm Anita Stewart, right under A.F. Stewart, author, and I'm also the media manager for Crystal Lake Publishing, and the host of the Shadows and Ink podcast and the Go Indie Now Trope or Not to Trope show. And so I vetted a lot of authors, also vetted interviewers for my job, as well as book reviewers as well. So I have a little experience. And of course, as an author, I've been dealing with all the scam email of late.
Same, girl, same.
Would you like to come to my book club?
No.
My name is Mickey Mickelson. I'm the owner and publicist for Creative Edge Publicity. We've been in business for 11 years. We represent approximately 130 authors worldwide in every genre, indie and traditional. We represent a number of New York Times bestsellers, USA Today bestsellers, and international indies who become international bestsellers through our extensive media reach internationally.
Awesome.
Happy to be here. Thanks.
Nice to have you. And from Parts Unknown, Mr. Jim Nettles.
So I'm Jim Nettles coming to you with a live remote as we're wrapping down the Saga Writers Conference in Charlotte. I'm sitting in the dealer's room, so for what's left in the dealer's room, for anybody that, we got a few folks left around. So on Friday, I actually taught a workshop that I've been teaching for years and years on publishing scams. And I just finished up doing the workshop this morning on ethical AI in publishing, subtitled The Fruit of the Poison Tree. So I've already, had a few dirty looks this morning. Of course, I've written business for writers, a bunch of other stuff, do a bunch of workshops, write some bunch of fiction, bunch of nonfiction, and of course, over at Continual and my podcast, Creating Prose, we talk about this kind of stuff all the time.
Yes, sir. And that's why I wanted all of you to be here, because you all have vast knowledge of this wonderful, wonderful world that we all try to navigate through. I want to start the conversation by asking you about what is an automatic red flag for you all when you get these emails, when you get anything involving what you're doing in your career or for your folks there. What automatically it's a red flag. Is there such a thing for you all?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of them.
Well, let's go through some of them. Let's not.
Okay, the main red flag for me, because I have published so many books, is we have found your book and we love it, but there's no title. There's no title. It's like, which book, idiot?
Right, dear author, right? It says dear author.
Yeah. Or I recently got an email where they still had book title in brackets in the email.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Another red flag is no book genre, because I write in genres. That's another big one.
Honestly, for me, a big red flag is them just sending me an email. Like, that's not how it generally works. And that doesn't mean every single unsolicited email I get is a scam. But it is either a scam or it's somebody who's just starting out in whatever it is they're doing, and they don't know that's not how it works. So that's been my experience.
Well, my first favorite red flag of the moment is when they tell me about my fantastic book and they insert a title that's not mine. That, because right now I'm on somebody's list for a book that I can't even find that exists, much less that it's mine, and under which name it would be. But it's definitively something that wouldn't be me. But I mean, the second thing is, what email address did it come in on? If it comes in on kind of the public email address that everything goes to, then I've got tons of rules in there so that if I know who it comes from, I'll probably see it. If I don't, it goes to a PA that usually is going to be, well, that's crap, because she knows that if I see it, I'm going to start smart ass things like, I've written a bot that says if certain things come into this email address and they say these certain things, the reply they get is a fee schedule for my appearance fees. And then if they don't reply to that with a check in 24 hours, the next thing that happens is they get reported to Google and a number of other sources of the spam site. So I just automated it because I got tired of doing it.
For myself, it's a lot of the same that everyone else has said, but it's kind of funny for me because I get these emails saying how great my book is. Well, number one, I'm not a writer. I've never published a book in my life. And there's no name to it, like the book title or the author name. So at first I'm thinking, okay, it's one of my clients, but then they're saying Mickey. Well, Mickey's never written a book in his life and he has no intention of doing that. So that's the first red flag for me. The second one, and it's a key one, is they'll put their name as whoever, dear Aaron, dear Lisa, dear whatever, but the email has a different complete name than what they're actually indicating as their person is. So that's definitely a red flag, and it's blocked immediately when that happens. So, yeah.
I think the email ones are easier to spot because, number one, they usually come from an email that you look at and you go, I would never, ever click on that because of the email address, right? Just simply, I almost automatically delete them if not vet them. I've also automated my system to vet those emails out, but some of them use Gmail and some of them think they're a little bit more clever and they use Gmail and try to get through that. But
well, and looking at the deep links and things like that too for what's the email links they want you to click on it.
Yeah.
Mickey,
anything with a link in it, I'm very wary of. Yeah.
But Mickey, I would take a short clip of Mickey, "Oh, you're so fine," and rickroll people with that when they reply.
That is an excellent idea.
Well,
I kind
in
of
my
wish my name
case,
was Mickey.
sorry, Vanessa. In my case, I'm getting solicitations for about 130 authors
Sure.
because everyone lists me as their publicist on their website at my request. So I'm not getting bombarded with all my clients saying, "Is this a scam? Is this a scam?" I'm like, no, just put my contact information there. I will usually get almost everything. So I usually get about 90% of it. So my spams every single day are about 500. It's crazy.
Wow.
And I just delete them, right? And
Mhm.
there've been some that have been accurate or looked accurate. So I've simply gone to the sites of those places where they say they are, and I've checked them out, and then I know that they're not true, and then we move on from there. The meetup groups are a big red flag as well, because the majority of them, in fact, everyone I've seen in the last 2 years, completely fake, every single one. So I just delete those too.
Mhm.
How about anybody get these where I get this one a lot. It's we can guarantee you followers. Uh, we use real people, not bots. That's the number one. Whenever I see that in an email, somebody's copied that from another email, and I go, yeah, okay, whatever. But
Yeah.
you know, I get a lot like the Instagram one. I get that constantly in my email about, hey, you've got a great thing going here. Let us help you get your Instagram out to millions of people. Sure. All right. Did everybody get that one too?
Yeah.
Every day. Every day.
I will say though too that the majority of the time I get the solicitations from people who are not scams but who are actually new in making covers or doing graphics, and it's almost always graphics, and it's almost always on Instagram. And you know, I go to their site, I go to their page, and like they are legitimate, they seem legitimately like a human being. But like, you know, they have actual things of them, although you can't really tell. You're not going to be able to tell. It's not going to be very long before you're not going to be able to tell. But you know, like dating back however amount of time or whatever. And I find that I get those most on Instagram. That's where they show up to me.
The artists target me too on Instagram, which is ridiculous because I do my own covers and I don't need an artist. But it's gotten to the point where I will not follow an artist if they follow me first.
Yeah.
Anymore, because they'll just DM me and I'll have to say, no, I don't need artists.
Yeah. And I'll be kind, like I'll treat them like a human being. I'll be respectful and I'll say, no, I'm not interested, you know, or they'll like open a conversation with me that is not about business. And I'll say, if you're trying to sell me something, I'm not interested. I'm happy with what I have, but I'm fine with having a conversation. And they're like, oh, okay. And then if they do it 2 lines down, I was like, I said no already. Respect my no. And, you know, like, and usually they'll be like, okay, sorry about that, whatever. But some of them will, and I'll be like, okay, block, done. I'm not going to, you know, I'll interact with human beings as human beings until the point that they show me that they're not listening to me. And if you're not listening to me at the pitch, you're not going to listen to me if I engage you. That's, you know, so.
Yeah. If they don't respect my no and they start getting pushy, then I start getting mean.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I will get rude in their face because I'm old and I give no more fucks. I got to use the F-bomb. I got it, y'all. Y'all don't get it. I got it.
Wait, Joe, have you stolen my wheel? You're spinning the wheel now?
I got it. I didn't do the wheel. I got it.
I'm also curious, you know, when you are searching for stuff, is there red flags you see on websites or certain places? Like if you're looking for an artist or if you're looking for certain things, you know, or you see one that's legit and you kind of follow up on it, is there red flags in that aspect as well, wherever that rabbit hole leads you to?
There are no red flags for me because my process, the way I vet everything, it's
Mhm.
pretty much foolproof as to what we're doing. So for opportunities, whether it be magazines, book reviewers, blog interviews, anything like that, what I've been doing now, if I get a sense that there's something off, I'm going to say we're not going forward until I have a Zoom meeting so I can see you face to face and have a discussion how this aligns. And that usually cripples that potential if it's a red flag. In the last 2 years, we've done that, and we've arranged probably 15 to 30 different opportunities for our entire team because they did have Zoom meetings with me, and we worked out an arrangement. So, yeah.
That's
Hey,
awesome.
yeah, one of the big things in filtering, and again, I recognize that kind of I'm on the other side of this a lot of the time, which is if I need something, I know who I call. But I mean, that's to me the first advice is start with the people you know or who can give you a reference when I'm looking for things. Now, beyond that, right? If you're just starting out, you're trying to figure out where to go. The first thing, and I said this on Friday, was if it looks too good to be true, it probably is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a degree now, and this is going to sound really odd, but there's a degree now if it looks too polished, it could be a problem. And you kind of have to do deeper research because to see how long has somebody been around, you have to look and see what does a portfolio look like. Because again, I deal with a lot of different spaces, a lot of different areas, so there's a lot there where I know what I'm looking for anymore, and I either see it or I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not in that space and you're trying to figure it out, there's a lot of have emails, have conversations, but be proactive about going and looking versus responding to solicitations.
100%.
Because solicitations in this environment, 99% of the time are going to a solicitation where you've not had any input. 99.999% of the time is going to be BS. Yeah, occasionally you're going to get something that's real, and the things that are real tend to look real. They may not entirely be professional. They may not entirely know what they're looking for, but you can tell the difference between the bulk generated scam email that went out to a ton of people. You can tell the difference between the guy that just spent 20 minutes on Claude, cranked out a website that's now up and looks like it has some standing and whatnot. There is a degree there of learning discernment, and this is true not only in publishing but kind of across the game.
Absolutely, Jim. And if you're an author and you're getting media coverage and your face and name and brand are starting to get out there, you're going to get targeted even more because you're out there and they can easily find you. And that's what I'm telling my clients. I'm like, don't fall for this stuff. Like, vet through me, because the more interviews you do and the more coverages and magazine covers and everything you do, the more you're a target for these predatory purposes. Just have to be smart.
Yeah. For me, as an author, when I'm looking for services, I usually go to my author groups and I ask for recommendations because that's the best way for people who've already used the services. They know what the services offer, and that way I can get a good service. That's I recommend doing that as an author. It's a good way to get services from fellow authors who've already used them. But when I'm working for the publishing company and I'm trying to look, say for an interviewer, we're looking at maybe sending out emails to an interviewer that looks promising. I'll go to their YouTube channel or whatever, and I'll look at their videos and I'll see how they do the interviews. I'll see what the engagement is, what their numbers are, and things like that. So you need to look at the data as well when you're when you're vetting interviewers or book reviewers or things like that. So you want to know how much engagement they're getting. If you're going to send a book out to or an email out to Instagrammer, for instance, you want to know that they're not just their follower count, but their follower count is engaged and listening to
And
them.
real.
Yeah, and real. Yes, definitely real. So you want to know, you want to look more at the comments than you want to look at the views and the follower count, because a smaller follower count that has a really engaged readership or viewership is far more valuable than a really large follower count that has no comments.
I would say I would add to that if you want to pay for a service that's worth it to figure out if YouTube is if there's a validation on the YouTube channel, vidIQ can help you with that.
Oh yeah, definitely vidIQ.
That'll give you a lot of analytics that you can judge the engagement by. It also compares it to other similar similar pages, so you can.
What's the name of that, Joe?
vidIQ.
Okay, everybody said it at the same time. Joe, what is the name of it?
vidIQ, VIDIQ.
Thank you.
Yeah, they also have a YouTube channel with all their information, so you can check that out too. They also have some helpful tips on how to improve your YouTube channel.
They also, if you sign up for it, they give you one free consultation where they will go through your YouTube channel with you and do an audit. So.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Well, and it only makes sense. Like, for example, with the Instagram reviewers specifically, if they say they have 100,000 followers on their page and each post is only getting 50 likes, you know those spots are bought. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, which is why when I referenced earlier, every reviewer that reaches out to me, no, we're having a Zoom conversation because, number one, I want to see who you are. I want to make sure you're not the same person I talked to last week doing double reviews under a different name. And I want to make sure that your reach and your outlets are actually legitimate and your process. That's another way to vet this, because Instagram can be bought. It can be. And people do it all the time. So.
And for me, red flags, the original question was like, what red flags when you go to their website or whatever. For me, and this is not necessarily a red flag, but this is a personal preference. If they do not have some pricing guide on their website, it doesn't have to necessarily be like set in stone, but, you know, hey, I'm an editor. You can expect to pay between this and this, or, you know, it is, you know, I have a special introductory thing that is this price per page or per word or per whatever. If they don't have some reference to the pricing, if it's just like, contact me for a quote today, I just move on. And that's not just like publishing professionals. That is also pretty much any service. If you're not going to give me some ballpark idea to like, because it's not worth my time to talk to someone who I can't afford. That's not worth my time. I don't want to have to talk to you to find out if I can afford you, if you're anywhere in my ballpark. So that's one. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I throw a follow-up at you, Vanessa, in terms of the editor aspect? I think a big red flag for me too is on editing sites where when I'm vetting editors, if they don't tell me how they connect with me, right? Like they don't give me an exact, like, send me how the process works. So send me 5 pages or, you know, something to that effect. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. As an editor,
have that, right?
As an editor, I offer you know, sample edits, right? And what I ask for is like, I just pick random pages. Give me page 110 through 120 in your manuscript. And then because it's also an evaluation for me, because I want to see where this person's writing in it. And if they give me the beginning, every writer has rewritten their beginning 80 times. So that's not going to necessarily give me an idea of what the rest of the book looks like. And so I ask them for that. And then I will pick 3 to 5 pages within that 10-page range to edit and send back to them so that they can see my style. So the other thing that is a red flag is, honest to God, do not check your common sense at the door when you come into publishing. And this statement is mostly aimed at the newer writers, because, you know, when someone reaches out to you telling you they love your book, of course you're going to get excited, you know, of course. But like, Simon & Schuster does not email indie authors. They don't. That's not how it works. So if it seems like it's too good to be true, it's just like, you know, those of us of a generation, you know, what's his name? Ed McMahon was not going to come up to you with a big Publishers Clearinghouse check on your front porch. If somebody shows up on your front porch with a Publishers Clearinghouse check, that's probably a scam. Like, if it seems like it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. And you learned this already. If you are an adult, you have already learned how to evaluate something, hopefully. You know, that, I mean, we all sometimes get caught up in it. It doesn't mean that we're completely scam foolproof, but like, you know, as an adult, if someone's approaching you to sell you something on the street, you understand how to interact. You understand that. When you're at a car dealership and the sales guy comes up and you don't want to deal with the sales guy, you know how to deal with that. You know what I mean? When you're like, I'm just looking, don't push. You know how to deal with that. Take those skills and apply it here, and use that same set of skills that you have to evaluate whether somebody's being straight with you or not. Use those same things here. Don't let your want of a publishing career to get in the way of your common sense.
There's a great joke that Dennis Miller says about the publishing clearinghouse thing. He goes, at some point it just becomes a public commission that you open the fucking envelope in the first place.
Yeah, and you order magazines.
Well, and there's one other thing I'm going to put in here.
Yes, sir.
That is one of those. This is a valid use for AI, right? This is one of those places where by using insert your favorite chat engine here, there are some of them that are better at it than this. But do your search engine, run it through Google, and run it through. If ChatGPT is actually good for this because they have a large enough basis that you can throw a name in there and it will go look. Now, I like Claude's deep search better because they will help you validate who's real or not and what the real links are. When you see people running, scam links and spam links, they'll actually give you a lot of the social media basis. You can spend the time, right? I can pull up somebody's Facebook page and see they created the account 6 weeks ago. I can look and see that they created the Instagram account a month ago. That doesn't mean in and of itself it's not legitimate, but it's a highlight. But if I see somebody's entire footprint came into being a month ago, I can't find that they existed before that, before they hung their shingle out. I can't find a pedigree. I can't find anything else. And that deep search doesn't bring me anything back. I'm going to be what you're going to refer to as skeptical.
100%.
So we had some comments here. Sean wants to share his love for the team here. Vast knowledge. Yes. Good morning. The artist one I get is what I get the most, and he does the same that Vanessa does in that one. And then Sean says a mean Canadian.
It's Anita. She's a horror writer. Come on.
Yeah, have you met me, Sean? Really?
Not only has he met you, but he's talked to you 1,000 times. Yeah. Richard White says hello. He says hi to Jim. He says hello to me personally. Thank you. Hi, Richard. Nice to see you. And then vidIQ, I put the link there for everybody. And then Richard says, I have to agree. I don't know what context that was with. And LOL, I have, Sean says.
Nice.
So I'm glad you brought up the wicked stepchild here in this conversation, the red herring that is hanging over all of us right now, Mr. Nettles, and that is AI, right? Mm-hmm. And so for because you come at this in a different perspective. We've had multiple conversations on this channel about AI and things of that nature. I'm going to start with you just to get it out there. But what are some things for? Is there green flags for AI? Let's start there. Let's go with the good versus the bad aspect for you.
So, and again, this is the workshop I just ran my mouth on for 2 hours, but fundamentally, here's.
Sorry, you have to do it for 5 minutes here. Jeez.
No, I'm trying to pack it into 5 minutes. You know me. I've never met an hour I couldn't talk for 3.
That is so true.
Your panel's over. Yeah, but give me another 10 minutes. Look, Friday afternoon, Darren Kennedy was standing in the back of the room going, clock. I'm like, I got another. No, you don't. This was an hour panel. You've been going an hour and a half. Anyway. So basically, here's what I said was there's 2 things to it. Number one is when you're looking at anything that is AI generated, anything that's AI derivative, understand the intellectual property, implications, which are if it is generative AI, you can't copyright it, you can't protect it, it's not yours. Period. Despite the fact all the legal stuff going through, so you have to understand what the implications are. And so after that, what are your green flags on? And again, I just did ethical use of AI. How do you do it ethically? Well, the main thing I declare is if you're going to use it, and the answer is you're going to, because there's no way in the current modern environment to be in publishing or any other business for that matter that is not being touched by generative AI at this point.
Mhm.
Right? If you're using Word, you're touching it. If you are running ads, you're touching it. If you're searching and doing research, even if you're not intentionally doing it, you're touching it. You're using it. It is a part of what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're going into and using the Claudes, the ChatGPTs, if you're using some of the story writers, if you're using some of the audio tools and things like this, the two things I say are number one, be very open and transparent with your users, with your readers, with your fans, and everything else, what your AI stance is. And the second thing is work by work, openly declare and disclose where it may have touched, right? You did research, you may have played with character names. Having that and being very transparent about it lets your readers and customers know where you stand. Now, much to Vanessa's point of was getting to the point you can't tell what's AI and what's digitally this and this. I'm like, well, there's now standards being met, and there's now universal standards that declare in technologies how you can actually scan for and see AI generation in images and music and video and all the rest of this. And one of the things that we're seeing is there are strides being made to do that in writing, but there are ways of stripping it out. But the protection we may see coming about writing and proof of writing and proof of creation is going to be not trying to prove the negative, but actually uploading the files that are evidence for the actual manual work and the creative process being the value of the written work. But beyond that, in terms of how can I use and leverage generative AI, it's number one, all the other stuff around the business, right? But at the end of the day, it's a tool, and how you use that tool, how you disclose the use of that tool is really what's critical and important. And be skeptical of all of it. And I say this being a person who owns a company. We do stuff with this.
Yeah.
We use the tools. I'm in there frequently. Doesn't mean I trust them,
Can I
but
just
I also
say
don't necessarily trust people either.
I really wish that they had like trained the AI ethically, because if they had,
Yep.
I would have no problems. I mean, I have issues about environmental concerns, but I would have fewer problems with using it as a tool, not to write, but as a tool.
If it had been done ethically.
Yeah, if they had done it ethically, because like to me, there's no way like to ethically use AI. You can use AI in the most responsible way you can, but because AI at its core is unethical, you know what I mean? So like anyway,
I disagree. I disagree, but for very technical reasons. And one of the reasons, to your point, is the fact that it wasn't and agree again, 100%. The way that a lot of the training models were built was absolutely unethical and a theft of IP and all the rest of that. I have gone on that rant. The other thing that I say to that, though, it was not just the material for our world. It is truly the collective knowledge of humanity. So everyone and everything has been impacted, and that's part of the acknowledgement.
Okay,
There's a degree here.
I don't see how that changes. Well, we're getting off track.
I think what he's saying is that people have contributed to it.
We'll talk later, Jim.
Yeah. I recognize that there's going to be a lot of disagreement with me on that because the little red dots that popped on my chest while I was talking earlier.
Well, you know what's funny? You know what's funny is you went fuzzy when you started to talk good about AI, and then when you started talking bad about it, you got clear.
Okay.
So can I go ahead, Ania?
Okay, I was just going to say I'm in the no AI camp, and for this reason. I survived just fine as a writer without AI before it became a thing. And why would I need it as a tool now? It doesn't make sense to me. And it erodes skills. I'm sorry, using AI as a tool erodes your skill as a writer and as an
Or stops
artist.
you from developing them. You're 100%.
Yes,
I just talked
exactly.
about that for 10 minutes.
But I also agree with
Yeah.
Jim that you cannot avoid it anymore. It is out there. It is everywhere. You can mitigate it. You can work around it, but you're going to encounter it no matter where you go. I mean, you just do a Google search and it's there these days.
Yep.
I mean, although AdGuard is very helpful in getting rid of those stupid AI things manually if you want to block them. I'm just saying.
We our team had a full Zoom session on this last month. Actually,
Interesting.
we have quarterly sessions with our authors, and we had a discussion around all of this. I mean, I'm not going to bring up all the details because I want to respect everybody's privacy. But what came out as a result of this was we work with about 30 magazines. And so the stance at the end of it was you can use AI for research as long as you're putting the articles in your own words, but that research has to be followed up with proper sources. So if AI tells you this source did this, as a writer, you're going to have to go and research that is actually accurate and real and legitimate, and then share it within the article. And there was some pushback, and one of the pushbacks were, well, it's just faster. And I'm like, I get it's faster, but here's the question for all of you. And I asked like 30 people this in this session. How would you feel? Do you guys want reviewers to review your books using AI? Well, the answer was 100% no. I'm like, okay, well, if you don't want reviewers to review your books AI, you're doing exactly what they're doing by writing an article using AI and broadcasting it. So there's no difference. So if you're not wanting that, you're going to have to act accordingly as well. It's okay to do the research using AI, but you're still going to have to go find those sources and be accurate. And the words in the article better be your words and no one else's. And that's the stance that Creative Edge is taking overall with everybody.
Well,
okay, I would like to counter that. It's faster and do your research because yes, you can use ChatGPT or whatever for research, but it's not always accurate. It lies. It hallucinates.
You're right. 100%.
And if you have to go and vet everything you just researched, why not just do the research? That's double work to me.
I agree with you.
Go just do the research.
I agree with you, but it's the author's perspective.
I know. That's
what
I mean. It's like I think the perspective has to change. That this AI is not as good as all the hype that we've been hearing.
It's not.
But I will say,
go ahead,
I will say, AI can give you an initial list to start your research at. You know, that can save time. Like I can see that as a thing that can save time. Especially if it's something that you don't have a whole lot of personal, like you're not really sure where you would start. Like in the same way that you can do that with Wikipedia as well, right? You can go to the bottom, you might read the article, but you go to the bottom and find the sources, and then you begin your research there. And I can see that as being a useful way to use AI in your research piece. But that's how I would use it. If I were going to use it to assist me in research, it would be to find an initial starting point for my research. Because if I already have an initial starting point, then I don't even need it at all. But if I don't have an initial starting point, I could see it as being useful in that way. Or who are the top 5 experts of this topic in the United States right now, or whatever, right? Because that would take me a long time to figure out. And if it can just start me on the path, I can see use in that. But again, I still have huge issues with AI because of the unethical foundation.
Exactly.
So,
And going back to what Joe's brought us all here to talk about today, if an author uses AI in any way, shape, or form for anything they're doing, whether it be an interview about themselves, whether it be an article, whether it be their marketing, whether it be anything like that, they now can't push on the outlets using AI to try and market you. because you're doing exactly what they're doing. It's the exact same thing. So there's an ethical background that, if you want to do things right, do it right. And if you're not going to do it right, then I'm going to use this word once, then don't bitch because someone's reached out to you using AI capabilities or drafted a form or used an AI image to build up their portfolio, because you're doing the exact same thing that they are.
So let me add I want to put a couple of caveats in here. And I just said this. Number one, if you're trying to use AI to write and use it to generate words, you're not a writer.
Nope.
You're somebody who wants to have written without doing the work and not doing the job.
I mean, and every writer wants that also, but we are not going to do that.
But so if that's the position you're in, making money as a writer is hard enough.
100%.
And there's no value in it, right? There's no creative spark, especially in fiction, right? I'm somebody who has lost sources of income because a lot of the stuff I used to write in nonfiction spaces, periodical stuff, they've gone to using bots to write all the articles. If you're lucky, they're being edited before they go out the door, and this is for major publications. If you're using the tools to write and replace your creative output, then you're not being creative. There's no point in it. Go do something else. Don't waste my time. I just said this in front of a room full of people. The second part I'm going to say is when you figure out what scale and where you're at in terms of using the technologies, you have to rate what your risk is. There are certain things that are very low risk in working with these technologies, right? Grammarly, Pro Writing Aid, things like that. Those are industry standards, but they're still part of the technology. This is the reason I say if you're using the standard stuff, but much to Anita's point, I just spent a long time talking about the fact of there's really kind of 3 tiers of people dealing with it. If you have no idea what the hell you're doing, you're a newbie, you're starting out, and you start using this as a crutch, you don't know what sins you're committing, you don't know what you're doing right and wrong, and you never will. Right? It's not something that's going to accelerate you to learn. It's something that is going to become a crutch. You never build the skills, the habits, and you don't create anything really unique. And again, I'm speaking in generalities, right? Second, that mid tier are the people that have been doing it, they've been grinding, they've got some degree of skills and knowledge, and they can leverage it, but frequently are going to be the ones that look and say, I can go do this easier and faster myself, just do it the old way. I'm going to leverage tools for this, this, and this. And then there are a very small number of people at the top of any food chain that are going to use it for an accelerator, but it still have to acknowledge when you use it as an accelerator, you're not using certain skills, which means they're going to degrade, which means it's going to become more of a crutch over time. So you have to be very intentional on how you approach and use any of these tools. And this is true for writers. If you're in technology development, I had the same conversation with attorneys this week. Right? This is the reason I say that this is an endemic condition, not just for writers. And the ethical concerns about it are legitimate, valid, a problem, and we still have to move on from there because it's moving its way through the court system. We have to figure out how we tackle and use these tools or don't. But the fundamental point I did after talking for 2 hours about this was the number one thing we can do is by users of it and by being knowledgeable of what it is and is not means that we have an ability to influence the future of where these technologies go.
Awesome. Well, we have an influence here at Go Indie Now, which is the Indie Connection. Each and every week, C.L. Cannon joins us to give us a book that she recommends out there and the indie books that you can get that are like that particular book. And today we are doing, we're going to, ironically, in AI space, Divergent. So we'll do that, and then we'll come back. There is a great question in the chat that I will get to on the other side of the break, and we'll also bet your comments as well. But here's C.L. Cannon, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Hey guys! guys, CL Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. And today I'd like to tell you about some indie books that you might enjoy if you're a fan of Divergent by Veronica Roth. The first book I have for you is called Expendables by Allison Ingleby. One girl, a corrupt government, a secret that could shatter a country. London is divided by a lethal barrier. Inside, the rich live in privilege, supported by the corrupt government. Outside, people starve, and children are taken by the government, never to be seen again. 12 years ago, Alicia narrowly escaped capture when her mother mysteriously disappeared. She survives on her wits, trusting no one. But when a rebel organization called The Chain offers her the opportunity to uncover her mother's fate and her father's identity, she jumps at the chance. After all, she has nothing left to lose. Trey's days are spent at an exclusive boarding school, trying and failing to live up to his family's expectations. Then one day, the government comes for him. On the run, he stumbles into a world of poverty and violence he never knew existed. The Chain offer him safety, at a price. When the Chain forces Alicia and Trey to team up, Alicia is furious. If there's one thing worse than an impossible mission, it's having to drag along a boy with zero street smarts. But when events take a devastating turn, Trey may be the only one who can save her. In a dark, twisted game of cat and mouse, Alicia must decide whether to fight for herself or for her people, and whether to follow her head or her heart. The next book I have for you is called Reactive by Becky Moynihan. An inescapable city, 3 deadly trials, one way out. Loon Tatum, adopted daughter of the Supreme Elite, has lived within her father's walled cities for 11 years, but she wants out. Except she can't leave, and not because of the clans and mutated beasts that roam beyond the impenetrable electrified walls protecting her life. Her plan has always been to win the elite trials and earn title of choice, her only chance at freedom, and the only way to return home to her mother. Then a boy from her past arrives on her 18th birthday. His presence threatens Loon's carefully laid plans and exposes memories she's desperate to forget. He can't be trusted, especially as he possesses dangerous secrets, and what he reveals could ruin the chance at freedom she's willing to die for. The third book I have for you is called Ascendance by Sean C. Butler. Is it murder to kill GMO people? 4 teenagers are gunned down at a prestigious private school. 3 of them were flawless and beautiful, almost superhuman, but also hateful bullies. The 4th was the vice president's niece. Reluctant partners Detective Sarah Sanchez and tech billionaire Nathan Marks search for the killer as the world erupts into a war over what it means to be human, or a soulless abomination. They have only 7 days to stop a horror that will tear the world apart, and the clock starts now. And the last book I have for you is called The Aqua Secret by L.L. Hunter. The year is 2042, and the world has been consumed by water. Those who survived the great floods of 2012 clung to the debris of the old world from which they rebuilt their lives. Pim Maddox thought life was good living on the floating city called Aqua. Harboring secret feelings for her best friend, the smoldering Rush Rogers, was the least of her problems. Rush is the son of her father's second-in-command, a boy whom her father approved of, or so she thought. After, her people are moved onto her father's Navy vessel, a motion which is only the start of the torrent of secrets that begin to unravel. Pim's search for answers lead her and Rush to a secret underwater lab that just might hold the answers to everything. Pim soon discovers that the world she grew up in is not what it seems, and her father may hold the key to unlocking the biggest secret of all, the reason Pim and Rush have a mysterious connection to the water. Secrets and water have one thing in common. They get distorted on the surface. Okay, that's all for me this week. I'll see you next week on the Indie Connection. Bye!
As always, a wonderful Indie Connection, again from the awesome CL Cannon. That Aqua book cover is just breathtaking. I was like blown away when I saw that the first time. But yeah, she does it I think she's particularly trying to find covers to my taste when I'm on the show, because I get the like every time there's at least one there that is amazing.
It's all about you, Joe. It's all about you.
If I can't make it about me, who can I make it about, Vanessa?
It's all about you, my friend. We are all here to make you happy.
Oh, I appreciate it. Well, you know. I love you all.
Ditto.
Yeah, so great job. We have some great comments in here. Richard says, sorry, no context. Well, he was referring to his previous comment, and I agree that on the use of ChatGPT in the 1 month footprint and being skeptical. Sean says, as a SF writer, I would still be a skeptic.
Sean's a skeptic regardless.
And then Richard says, no use it as a tool to help me in blogging and image for my blog post. I do everything I can to use it responsibly. And then he says, however, for writing books, I used ProWriting A, which Jim brought up, only for copy editing, and I put too much of my degree in to not use my own content. And do you know how many people in my college program use ChatGPT to do their homework? Yeah, I'm sure.
And do you know how many wasted their degree? Yeah.
So we had another comment in here, and it's a question for you all, and we'll run this through. And I'm going to kind of manipulate this comment a little bit. It says, how do you vet professionals at conferences and conventions? I'm not sure if Sean means prior to going to the convention or when you're at the convention trying to be sold by people. But let's go from both angles. I mean, and we have folks here who vet people for conventions, and we also have people here who look at conventions to go to. And yeah, Sean says both. So let's start with you, Vanessa. What are some red flags for people who you see trying to get into the conventions that you run?
Well, first I want to take it back a little bit. And if you are part of a convention and you are looking to vet people who are applying, or however you do that process, you have to be going to conventions. Like, you have to go, because you're not going to be able to ascertain whether someone is a good guest, whether someone has problematic issues or not, if you're just at your own con and nowhere else, and you're not talking to other con runners, you're not talking to other con staff. That's probably the biggest, the first line of defense in terms of having people at a convention. And so that's like step number one. And then step number two is also having people around you who go to cons different than you do, or have connections to the communities, people that your convention is drawing from, right? Because I don't know everything about everybody. I mean, I like to think I do, but I don't. And a lot of people think I do, but I don't. But I do know a lot of people. And so, in the same way as writers, the best way to vet our professional partners is through recommendations. It is very similar within the con circuit, right? Like talking to other con runners. Have you ever had a problem with so-and-so? Or, hey, we recently had a problem with such and such, or whatever. So in terms of as an attendee, if you are at a convention, and again, like, word of mouth is going to be both really helpful and can also possibly be problematic, just like in every other part of life, right? But it gives you something to look at. Now, I made a mistake recently at a convention where I put a panelist on a track. They had expressed interest of being on a particular panel, and I put them on that panel, and I knew them for several years with other panels and things, and I put them on that panel, and it turns out I should not have, because they were problematic on the panel and towards the people who the panel was geared towards. And so that was a mistake on my part. And so that is a learning experience. So now this person will not, it's not that I'll never necessarily use this person again, but I will never use this person in a capacity where they could potentially, inflict harm on people based on what they might say on the panel, right? So it's really very much a learning process, and also paying attention to what happens at conventions and things like that. Okay, now what was your original question?
It's all good. It's all good.
Foundation first.
So when you're vetting folks and looking at things, I mean, I know that for multiverse, it goes through a different filter, and then you get what the filter is kind of given to you a little bit, right? I mean, it goes through Holly, and then Holly vets them.
Well, what happens is they apply, then we make decisions on the people who apply, and then yes, Holly does some other vetting. And one of the things we do, and a lot of people probably don't know this, but we run every name for both guests and volunteers through the sex offender registry. So, you know, I mean, there's not a lot of tools available to us publicly, but that one is, and so we use it. You know, use the tools you have access to.
That's awesome. But is there? So that's obviously one red flag. That's a very easy red flag to pull up. But is there something that you've learned over the years of you know, like you just said, you just learned a lesson on a panel and things of that nature. But is there other things you know right away instinctively when somebody's not right for a panel or something to that effect?
Okay, so this is going to sound probably bad.
What did I do?
But, huh? No, it's not you, Jim. For once, no. Okay, and this is going to sound. I am very. Okay, so as a person who is very left-leaning and very woke. I'm very woke by the real definition of the word, and also probably by the definition that people who use it in a derogatory manner mean as well. And it's very important to me that people feel safe around me and in anything that I present as a community type event, right? And I'm going to be very honest that I do not discriminate against military sci-fi writers, but I absolutely look at them very, very closely when I'm putting together something that I know has, and this is not, y'all, it's not a red flag, but it is definitely something I have to look into more closely, because there's a certain number of people in that particular community, and it is not a small number, who would not jive well, with the types of things that I tend to present. And so that's not necessarily saying they're bad people or whatever, although I think some of them are, but not, you know, like individual people, just like everywhere else. But those are things like I pay attention to how people vote is really how it comes down to. And, you know, I may get reamed for that, but I don't care at this point. You know, so simply because the things that I put together are not necessarily for them, and so they don't need to be there. Simple. I don't know. I feel like I just said something awful, but I didn't.
Vanessa, can I interject with that? Can I say something, Joe, or no?
Yeah, please make it.
Go.
So I think, and I know this is off track now, but I think it's a really important discussion. It's really important that authors are able to separate what their books and branding are to what other things that they're doing, because you're not the only one doing this, Vanessa. There are media that will, before they agree to bring you on as a guest, they're going to look at how you interact on social media. And if all your social media is around politics and MAGA versus woke or whatever, that's going to be a red flag for a lot of different organizations and outlets to bring you on. You have to be able to separate both of those things, and you have to be able to conduct yourself accordingly as an author, with branding, focusing on your book, and then having a separate page around other things. The minute you start interjecting both of those things is when you're going to find yourself in trouble from a marketability standpoint, a media standpoint, and in this case, a conference standpoint. I just want to say that because I think it's a really important point.
Well, I'm going to be super clear and say that I don't necessarily have a problem with people being political online. Okay. I do have a problem with people who are trying to suppress other people's rights. And so like for me, and I'm going to push back a little bit because it's a very privileged position to be able to not have your politics be part of your brand or part of your business or whatever, or being able to keep those things separate. But there are a lot of us who move through life whose very existence is political. And there is no way to separate it out. And so, and I don't want to separate it out. I don't want to play by that playbook. I don't want to play by the, no offense at all to the gentleman here, but the old white man playbook, where you don't let anything personal and private be part of your business because it might affect your bottom line. And that's a personal decision on my part. And I think it's a decision that every author is going to have to make like they've had to make it already. There's no way in our current climate, especially, to be politically neutral. You can't. You cannot. If you are complicit. So, and I'm sorry, and I know this is turning into a rant. However, I do think it's a big privilege to be able to keep them separate. That's a huge privilege. And I am always political. My body has always been legislated. And so there's no way to separate my political piece from myself as a human being and myself as a writer. So, I mean, and I recognize that is a valid way to, and I understand that your job is to make authors as marketable as possible, and that is a barrier to marketability. But that's also a thing that I think authors have to decide whether they're willing to stand on that hill or not. So,
can I add something?
Please.
I would just like to say part of my brand is being a woman, and being a woman in horror, and being a woman, especially a woman in horror, is inherently political these days. So I cannot separate the politics from my brand. I just did an interview a couple of days ago where we were actually talking about being a woman writer, being woman in horror, and the history of mythology and fairy tales and women characters being portrayed. So to me, that is my brand, and it is inherently political. So I can't separate it.
But you don't have to, because that's your brand. My point is about a children's author. Go ahead.
That will turn people off. It will turn some, especially some male people, off. So I have to accept that.
No, I agree.
Well, I mean, so when I run a lot of events. I attend a lot of events. I speak at a lot of events.
No.
And occasionally I shut up, but the notion of politics, right? We run Continual as a way to give open voices and give it, and open it up. And I mean, again, it is a challenge to find a way that is going to navigate sometimes really difficult waters. And one of the things I always try to do is create a space where we can have difficult conversations. Not everybody's going to come out happy, all the rest of that. And I mean, I've spent a large portion of my career, I've spent a fair amount of it in journalism, consulting, doing things where there are fundamental aspects to what I can and cannot say. Frequently for me legally. But beyond that, I mean, again, if you're going to be in a creative space, you're writing, you're doing everything, it's going to be part of your work, right? Because who in you and what you write, what you create is going to be out there and be part of the work. The big question becomes, and in this world is, are you focused on, because one of the things I will tell you, and this is me shifting into the mode that Vanessa's wanting to rail on, but this is the other side of it, which is the business. There is the aspect to it where money is a tool, and I know a lot of people in this business that have taken really material hits, and so they've lost a lot of the tools that they had to be able to share their voice and have the influence that they had because of how they chose. And it's not a right or wrong, it's not a good or bad, it is, we're in a world of repercussions.
It's a choice. Yeah, it's a choice you make. That's exactly right.
You make.
Yeah. And I don't take issue with people who, I don't take professional issue with people who choose not to. I might take personal issue depending on the person, but that's neither here nor there. But it is a decision that each author has to make.
Agreed.
And then understand the repercussions.
Exactly. I mean, I'm willing to lose a certain sect of readers because I am outspoken about all kinds of rights that a lot of people on the right do not want to hear about. And that's okay. I lose them as readers, but I also gain the people who are more aligned with my visions anyway. So to me, even from a marketing perspective, I'm okay with losing readers who don't align with me to gain readers that do. So,
But
And I'm not skipping your comment on purpose, Richard. I'm just saying this was exactly what Vanessa was talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm putting it up there. And Vanessa, exactly. We still have to be who we are. There's zero way to be apologetic, apolitical. Sorry. Right now, if you want to be any kind of authentic creator. And then Richard mentioned earlier, as a veteran, I stepped away from politics, though I write espionage thrillers. Politics is no longer in my feed. I block it. I leave pages and groups who even share it in my life. You know?
It's a privilege to be able to do that.
And Ariel says, I don't want them as writers anyway.
As readers, yep.
Yeah.
And
yep.
You're going to lose fans in either case.
Yeah. And so exactly, right? We're in an environment where, because again, I've talked about this some privately, not a whole lot. I get plenty of threats from both sides. I get plenty of hate mail from both sides. And you know what happens? Banhammer comes down, I move on.
Yep.
Right. And I have an ability, and if you want to call it the privilege to do that, I do. But at the same time, it's a decision I have to make. But at the same time, if you look at the events I attend, the places I speak, the things that I talk about, you're going to have a reasonable idea as to where I land on things. But
I've turned down invitations to events and looked at events where I know the clientele or the folks that are there, and they all have a certain bend to them, you know, whether that be political or otherwise. I look at the diversity of an event as well. If the event is going a certain way, like everybody looks like me, kind of thing, I'm not going to that event. It's just not going to happen. It's not something I'm interested in. It's not something I want to do. It's just that's me though. That's personally me. That's my choice. It's my decision. And I always, and whenever somebody invites me to something, I'm super grateful for that. I'm in a position where I can accept a lot of those, and I'm just humbled by anybody wanting me to do anything at anywhere. I really appreciate all of that and I recognize that I'm in a space of privilege, not just because of this, but because of what I do here and what I'm doing, for others. And so I realize that as well. And anybody who wants me to be part of what they're doing because of that, I appreciate it tremendously. But I do make personal choices as well.
Now, but here's the counterpoint I want to add to this, because this is one of those things that y'all have heard me rant about before as well. The other side of it becomes this: part of our responsibility to bring creativity in the world is the ability to have influence. And if you do want that ability to have influence, if you do want that ability to help bring different ways of thought into the world, that's one of the consequences, right? I see a lot of people go and say, well, I don't want those people reading my books anyway. If all you want to do is preach to the echo chamber, then you're also surrendering part of your responsibility.
I don't agree, because if they're not reading my book because of what I say on social media about politics, that's their choice, not my choice, right? If they wanted to read more about something they don't know, they have the option to do that. The book is still there. It's not on me, their reading decisions. What is on me is whether I am being authentic to who I am. And I will tell you, if I can make one trans person feel safe and included and lose 100 people who hate trans people, that is fine.
Absolutely.
I don't care. So because the safety of one person is infinitely more important to me than the comfort of 100 people.
Again, I'm only simply mentioning this as it's one of the trade-offs.
And that's fine. Again, it is a decision that we each have to make. And I feel like I'm completely taking over this panel. So I'm going to stop y'all. I'm sorry.
I just want to say one more thing. It is a trade-off. You're right. But that's a trade-off every author has, because there's always going to be people out there who don't like something that you're writing. It doesn't matter whether you're right, left, middle, no politics, all politics. there are going to be readers out there who just don't like you. Plain and
I
simple.
literally,
If you try to make everybody happy, nobody's happy.
I literally got dinged on a review by an author or by a reader who was referred to me by another author who writes in that genre. And the thing they dinged me on in the review, that I wasn't that other author. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, at that point you just throw up your heads and go, oh, okay.
It's fine. Whatever, like, people.
It's like my favorite. Like I bring this up a lot, but it's like my favorite review of all time is a 1-star review on The Godfather and Amazon that says this movie was neither about God or my father. I hated it. You know, I mean, what are you gonna do? You know,
people, man.
Take it so literally. That's on you. I can't help you there. All right,
you can't make everybody happy.
Yeah, what I can help you with is navigating through what we do here at Go Indie Now, and we have a wonderful week of programming ahead for you. I mean, we're packed this week, so hopefully you find something you enjoy, and it all starts with my friend Mickey Mickelson's client, Mr. Alan Warren, joining me on Monday night for 21 Grams, where we're going to talk about darkness and villainy. And I don't think I've had a more perfect. Well, you know, I've had Jim Nettles on the show. I think Anita's been on.
What's the topic?
Darkness and villainy. So, yeah, Mr. Alan Warren, for those who don't know, writes true crime stuff. So this is going to be a very, very interesting conversation. I think one of the more interesting ones I've had this season with this topic. And so if you're into that, you don't want to miss that, because he's got some really great stuff out there. I'm talking about vetting him. I looked at a lot of his stuff, and obviously I trust Mickey. So, but this is going to be an awesome conversation, no doubt. And then right behind it is another awesome conversation with another awesome person that I love, in Lily Lucchese, and Vanessa Giunta is going to have a conversation in a cocktail with Lily.
All the Italian, y'all. All the Italian in that show.
I don't see any anyway.
That should be awesome. You made Jim speechless, Vanessa.
I don't see any Frangelico here. I don't see him.
But that's going to be an awesome conversation. And then Tuesday night, I'm going to try. We'll see how it goes. But I will be literally live on the red carpet at CineQuest Film Festival here in San Jose, where I live. I will be broadcasting as much as I possibly can. I know that particular theater has been bad for broadcasting in the past. I've tried it a couple times, but they promised me that they've redone their thing, and so hopefully we'll see if that works out. We'll see how much of a promise they can make for me. But we will be there, and you'll get to meet some filmmakers and see some interesting things and conversations that I have, and how my process works in a lot of ways as well. That'll be live at 7:30 on Tuesday. Then Wednesday, Anita's here. Anita Stewart is going to have Mr. David Green as her season finale. What an awesome season finale!
Awesome.
The chosen one. Now, note everybody, it's at a special time, 6 p.m. Eastern, because Mr. David Green is in Galway, Ireland, and we did not want to keep him up past midnight because Cranky David is not a great David. So we wanted to have a nice David. And
yeah,
so,
we didn't want him falling asleep on us. So
yeah.
So we're doing that at 6 p.m. Eastern, which you can always watch it after the fact as well. But it's always fun to be in the chat when they're, because this is a debate about the chosen one, which I think is an awesome way to end the season for this show, and we're very grateful about that. I also want to mention that yesterday I dropped Saving a Seat with myself and Brian Tan, where we reviewed 4 movies. You can see the movies that we reviewed here. The Joneses was a recommendation from our pal Shane Wilson, who we haven't seen in a while, but has promised me he'll be back sometime soon, and I'm real excited about that. But that's the Joneses. And then on Saturday, to round everything off, I had a conversation with an independent musician from some Scandinavian country. I can't think of it. I think it's Norway. I'm sorry, my friend, if I'm mistaken. But it was an awesome conversation, and you'll get to see that on Saturday. That is what's going on here. And now let's jump and have JD Estrada. If some of you are out there playing March of the Riders with JD, if you don't know what it is this weekday. It's an everyday prompt that he puts out there that you can produce content with and utilize the prompt to produce Instagram content, video content, YouTube content, Facebook content. And these are the prompts for week 2 from JD.
Greetings, fellow humans. Welcome back to the March of the Riders. We're here back with Go Indie Now. We're going to talk about the topics for week number 2. And first, a little bit of Earl Grey tea so that I can continue with my dulcet tones. Anyways, if you don't know what Go Indie Now is, Go Indie Now is a network dedicated to support independent creators of all kinds: artists, writers, movie makers, musicians, everything. Video game developers too. I contribute to Go Indie Now with music reviews and independent indie game reviews. I've known the channel runner Joe Compton for a long time. He's a brother from another mother, and that's why we're tag teaming to do March of the Riders this year. Anyway, topics for week 2. That would be. It's going to be a this or that. There's an image that I'm going to be sharing for the story so that you can pick either this or that. Options that you're going to have is either digital copy or physical copy, tea or coffee, or other little choices that you can make so that you can share the love. Anyways, for day number 9, March 9th, how do you recharge? Life gets tough. Things get intense. How do you recharge? Do you eat? Do you drink? Do you exercise? Do you meditate? Do you scream into the void? What do you do so that you can keep on keeping on? For March 10th, the topic is peeves and thank you. As writers, we have so many pet peeves, and it's always fun to share the pet peeves. We are a quirky bunch, so why stop there? For day number 11, bookmark flex. We've got bookmarks and people love showing them off, so show off your bookmarks. For day number 12, I want you to go at it. So day number 12 is coffee versus tea. So which one do you prefer and why, and how do you take it apart from very seriously? Day number 13 is the LFAI ent in the room. Rather than say if it's good or bad, etc., talk about AI and your thoughts about it. Be respectful. Share your stance, be as passionate as you want, go for it. But talk about it because everyone's talking about it for all the reasons. And for day number 14, bookshelf stats. Show us your bookshelf and what's your madness? Do you organize by author, by name, by preference, by colors, or whatever? Just share your books, your bookshelf, and let us know how it is. Anyways, if you have any questions, by all means, contact us, and we'll be happy to answer any question that you have. Until next time, march on, and remember, it's always time to go indie now.
March of the Riders, everybody. So check that out and participate. Jim, there is no time limit on that particular prompt there, so you could do a 24-hour feed, Jim, if you wanted.
He could do his entire March of the Riders will be daily AI talks.
I got stuff to get done. Does anybody really want to listen to me talk that much?
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't want to listen to me talk that much.
All right, let's go around the room and say goodbye and tell everybody where they can find you. And Mickey, we'll start with you. So tell everybody about Creative Edge and where they can find you, sir.
So basically, as I said, we're a traditional marketing firm focusing on traditional media, podcast, magazines, radio, blogs, all of that such. You can find me at www.creativeedge-services. My list of clients are there. The list of relationships, media relationships are there. It's a fun time. So yeah, thanks, Joe, for having me. As always, wonderful.
Here. It's awesome to have you. I would do it more, Mickey, but you know, we got to keep you in the shadows. We got to keep you lurking a little bit.
I appreciate it. Thanks again.
All right, Mr. Nettles, tell everybody where they can find you and what you're up to.
The easiest thing to find is jamespnettles.com. Hypothetically, there's 2 new books coming out here.
Wow.
Yeah, finally. You can find out what we're doing over on Continual. You can get there from my site or go to continualconvention.com. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Hypothetically, I'm finally bringing Creating Pros back on the podcast as soon as I get a breather, as soon as we get past the Scottish Games in April. But anybody who wants to come see heavy objects being thrown and listen to bagpipes march to war, we do have Loch Norman Highland Games coming up in mid-April.
Same weekend as Jordan Con, otherwise I'd be there.
Yeah, I know. Well, you can skip Jordan Con. Come over, come play with the pipes.
One of these years, that's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the years when it's not the same weekend, you'll just stay for a week. It'll be all right. And then I will be, in terms of appearances, I've got, where am I going to be? I've got a couple things coming up. I'll be at Atomicon in Charleston. I'll be here at Con Carolinas in Charlotte. I will be at Gen Con. I will be at Dragon Con. I've got a few other things that are in the process of being scheduled coming up. I'm going to be going back to doing live workshops again. We're going to be starting cohorts again here, probably in May. So information will be going out on that. So if you want to know about the cohorts, reach out to me or tag on the mailing list, and we'll be starting to send out information about the classes and cohorts again.
Thank you, Jim, for making the time. And I know you're busy at the convention and you had a lot of people to talk to because that's how you roll. But I really appreciate you being here, man. Thank you.
Hey, I actually sat down for an hour at my own booth.
I know, it's awesome. Probably the only hour you've been at your booth the entire weekend.
That's probably true.
Well, no, I was at my booth the entire time yesterday at the art crawl in Columbia. So.
Okay, fair enough. All right,
Except
Nina, tell everybody where they can find you and everything.
Okay, you can find all my books, social media stuff over on afstewart.ca. You can find my designs over on Zazzle, Fourth Wall, and Redbubble. You can find the Shadows and Ink podcast on all the major podcast platforms. And our latest episode was with the lovely Vanessa, where we talked monsters. So go check that out.
That was so fun.
Yeah, and you can also find me here on Go Indie Now with Trope or Not to Trope.
Yeah, season finale, everybody, Wednesday. Check it out. David Green. It's going to be an awesome one. All right, Vanessa, tell everybody where they can find you.
That's my favorite trope, too. The Chosen One is like my favorite trope. So, okay. Sorry, y'all. So I put my sleek bio down here by my name. You can go to that and find all the places to find me. I am the author of the Soul Cavern series. This is book 1. I'm also the programming director for Multiverse. You can find more information on Multiverse Convention at multiversecon.org. I will also be here on the Go Indie Now channel tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, talking to Lily Lucchesi, and it's going to be fun. I'm so excited about it. So that's me.
As am I. I'm always excited for all of you to be here. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Go Indie Now. If this is your first time here, please hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all the wonderful things that helps all these wonderful folks get seen in this wonderful conversation, be seen outside of our purview. It's okay. You've been vetted. This is a good place to come. So as the folks here will attest to, hopefully. And as Rider Beware will attest to as well. Thank you. We didn't even mention Rider Beware in this entire conversation.
We sure didn't.
It's crazy. But go check out Rider Beware if you really want some ideas about red flags.
Yep.
It's an incredible site. It's probably the site to go to figure out red flags or not, and if they're scam or not scam. They do an incredible job, and they do a thorough vetting over there, and it's an awesome site. So go check that out, please. I actually do have that in the description too, because I thought maybe that was going to be talked about today.
I actually planned to bring it up, but then
so did I.
We all got sidetracked. Sorry.
But that being said, thank you all for being here. It is lovely to have you here, and remember, it's always time to go indie now.
Go indie now.
No.
Bye, everybody.